Hello, I'm Dave and this is Fiver, out once again for a walk in the New Forest. Thanks for joining us. Now today I'm going to be doing another one of my New Forest river walks. We're basically going to try and walk the entire length of a stream or river that's, well, it starts off as being called the Mill Lawn Brook and then it becomes the Ober Water. And the route's about 8 miles in total from here all the way to Burley Bridge, which is north of Brockenhurst, and that's where the Ober Water joins the Highland Water to become the Lymington River. Now I'm filming at the end of July. It's a beautiful sunny morning, blue sky. It's going to be quite warm today, so I'm starting quite early. It's 7:45. So hopefully we're going to miss most of the heat, but should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Okay, well, where are we actually going to be going? I have one of my, now don't laugh, Dave Ford special maps. It works for me. Right, so our route today. So we're going to start close to the source on Ridley Plain and head south along Ridley Bottom. We'll then continue south past Turf Croft and Boxberry Hill. And then we'll have to sort of circumnavigate the outskirts of Burley because the river or stream goes through a fair bit of private land, gardens and fields around there. But then we'll pick up the river after Burley. We'll head east alongside the Burley Old Inclosure. And then we'll head past Rhinefield Lodge and over Puttle's Bridge. And at that point, the stream becomes the Ober Water. And then we'll head alongside the Aldridge Hill Inclosure, past Ober Corner, and finally to Boulderford Bridge. Now, as to how much of the course I'm going to be able to follow, I don't know. It's all part of the fun of exploring. So the best place to start is the source, which is kind of behind me here. As far as location wise, Picket Post is just to the north. You can probably hear the busy A31 in the background. And then over to my left is Ridley Wood. So the source is up there somewhere. So this is basically looking up the valley, Ridley Bottom, and well, the source moves depending on what time of year it is. But obviously in the winter, the stream is much more in evidence, much farther up the valley, completely dry this time of year, of course, but water obviously drains off the two ridges and makes its way down here. And I'm probably going to say this quite often, certainly during the first part of the walk, but completely bone dry here. Now when there's water here, this actually is quite an idyllic spot. I've been here a few times. I'll put a photograph up on screen of what it can look like when there's water. Well, our first pony of the day, happily munching away. Quite a nice shine to the coat there. I love the colour as well. Right, well, let's kick on with the walk. Initially heading southwards towards Burley. So I've got Ridley Wood up to the, well, it's to the east of me. That's a lovely old wood full of quite gorgeous beech trees. The site of an old smuggler's market many years ago. In fact, I've done a video that sort of basically went into the woods and recounted the story of all those smugglers' tales. So I'll put the link below. Do check that one out. Now I'm going to have to keep Fiver on a flexi lead today. He's fine with ponies and cattle and donkeys. It's just deer that I have to be a bit careful about, but he should have an enjoyable walk nonetheless. Now this far upstream, the stream, which is called Mill Lawn Brook here, it never gets particularly deep, but quite boggy. So this is a good time of year to actually come and walk the route, even though it may be a while before we see any water. Well, it's certainly a lovely, peaceful start to the walk. So the river, and I'm going to call it a river, even though it's more like a stream this high up, is on my left. And we're just going to follow some pony tracks along the side and sort of heading towards the woods over there. Well, having said that it doesn't get too deep early on, there are little sections where there's evidence of it becoming a raging torrent at certain times of the year. Hopefully you can see this because it's in the shade, the sun still quite low in the sky this early in the morning, even though it is in the middle of the summer. Well folks, our first sighting of some water, although not very much of it. But, now interesting, there is a little gully here with what looks like a tributary. I wonder if this is there is a much smaller tributary that comes in from the north, another source. I wonder if that's it. I might be wrong. Yeah, more water down there. I am genuinely surprised. We've had one of the hottest summers on record, and we're in the middle of what effectively is a drought. We haven't had rain for well over 30 days, I think. It just goes to show, you know, when you see the ponies out on the forest, even in drought conditions, there is some water about if they know where to look, and they do. Wow, just look how deep the banks are here. I think the problem is that all the way down Ridley Bottom it's fairly straight and the water builds up a fair bit of speed. It's not until it gets into this little wooded area that it starts to meander and slow up a bit. Well, our first bridge of the walk. I expect we'll come across a few of these today. Now, I've got to make a decision here. Which side of the stream shall we walk on? To be honest, it doesn't matter because yeah, we can cross quite easily. Well, I've just crossed a little ford. You see there's some fencing and barbed wire there. I think that's actually private land, so the stream just goes around the side of it. Old Fiver's loving it in here. Plenty of squirrels about to keep him occupied. What a peaceful little spot. And so there you can see the river on the right hand side. I say, I really am surprised there's so much water in it. There you go. Well, just looking back at what must be the sort of southern side of Ridley Wood. It's so interesting to see. There's heather there, but it's yet to come out in colour yet. we instantly see what sort of performance the heather does this year in terms of colour. Now this is the first time I've been through this particular part of the forest, so it's quite exciting sort of coming across new aspects. Look at this lovely oak tree here in front of me. I love the way the sun sort of creeps through the foliage from above. Okay, well this is where we say goodbye to the stream just for a short bit, because it carries on through some private land down there. So we're going to slightly circumnavigate it and just walk along this little bit of heathland here. Well, a little bit of colour coming through on the heather now, so we might get a better display later on in the walk. Well, this is where we reacquaint ourselves with the Mill Lawn Brook. It's actually flowing there. However, it is only a brief glimpse of the river, because it now carries on through parts of Burley, all onto the private land. Okay, so what we're going to do now is circumnavigate the village of Burley on the northern side and pick up the Mill Lawn Brook sort of on the eastern side. Once we're there, we should be able to follow the course all the way to Boulderford Bridge. Fingers crossed. There might be a couple of spots in the meantime that we might catch a glimpse of the river between now and the edge of Burley. This lot have found a good shaded spot underneath this oak tree. They still struggle with the flies. You do have to feel sorry for them. Just a brief stop to take in a view looking north. So I think this is Burley Moor. Very much your typical New Forest scene, isn't it, with gorse out there. Well, a little update on the route. So we've just come down Forest Road, so on the northern side of Burley. I'm going to carry along the road in front of me, but before we do, I'm going to do a little detour to the south just to see if I can get a glimpse of the Mill Lawn Brook. Well, a lovely day to be out.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Come on, that's on. Good girl.
There we go. A little glimpse of the Mill Lawn Brook as it continues to flow eastwards. Let's say this goes through private land, so we've got a little bit further to go round before we meet up with it again. You're going to have a little paddle. Well, one thing's for sure, today we're going to take every opportunity we can to cool down, take on water. We're just passing by Wood Corner. I think this is the Southerly Inclosure on my right, and just in front of me here is a pony pound. Of course, regular viewers will know what these are. Predominantly used in the annual pony drift, but also used at other times of the year as well. And then this is where they round up the ponies off the forest, corral them into these and check them over, take any young stock off, put on the reflective collars and that sort of thing. And this is a sort of average size one, so it's probably 30 odd around the forest, maybe more. I'm now just making my way down Mill Lane. Isn't that a gorgeous house there, thatched, beautiful. God, another delightful pair of cottages, Stave Gate. Well, we're shortly going to join up with the Mill Lawn Brook again. Just passing by this delightful cottage, Waterfall Cottage. Now there was a mill in Burley, but that ceased operating in 1820. It's long gone. I think all that remains is a grist house in the grounds of Mill Cottage. And apparently there's a waterfall in the garden of the cottage here. So there is a stream, and I think that's part of the main stream. It kind of split in two. I wonder if that had anything to do with the mill. And here we are, reunited with the Mill Lawn Brook, which I guess it gets its name from the mill that was here. So we now just basically start following it eastwards as it meanders its way. Oh, I've just found a lovely little shaded, wooded spot just by the stream. It's definitely going to be one of those sort of days when we're going to have plenty of stops along the way. Definitely a day to take it easy. Well, I think this is dip number 2. The important thing is that he gets his paws nice and cool, because that does definitely cool him down. Yeah, the water looks fairly fresh as well. It's not stagnant, so should be okay for him. So we basically just follow the course of the river. So I think this is actually Mill Lawn, and our next destination is a place called Rooks Bridge. You know, it's quite noticeable how wide the river gets, you know, even this far up the course. But very much that typical New Forest meandering shape to it. You know, I love the shape that this river makes. You've got this, well, it is a U-bend one way, and then almost immediately it doubles back on itself with a U-bend the other way, and so deep as well. Well, this is interesting. Just looking back towards Burley, I've got the river on my right, but on the left there's this dead straight channel. I imagine that must be man-made. I wonder if that was from the Victorian era. They had a habit of putting in straight channels. Another little pit stop just to take in the view. So this is looking to the north of the river, and quite an idyllic spot. Well, we've just passed what I think was Rooks Bridge. Certainly it was an impressive bridge, and now back in a little bit of woodland which the river passes through. It really is quite magical and atmospheric in here. and very shady as well. Ah, lovely sight, little foal. Presumably that must be Mummy over there. And then, or maybe over there, I don't know. Well, that's a foal from this year, so what am I, July, so might have been born April, May time, possibly. So maybe a bit younger than that. Well, it's actually taking us quite a bit of time to come through this section because there are just pony tracks really to follow. But we got plenty of time. So when you follow routes like this, you're so far away from the mad world outside. Right, I'm going to make a decision here. I'm going to cross the river because it just looks a little bit more open on the other side. Might be a bit easier going. What do you reckon, fella? You lead the way? Go on. There we go. At least it's not too deep. It's so exquisite around here. From time to time I catch the odd glimpse of a dragonfly just dive bombing the water. You notice he's going in slightly deeper each time. Just what you wanted. Well, this is the Markway Bridge that takes the busy A35 over the river, and hopefully we can find a gate to cross the road. Well, here we are on the other side of Markway Bridge. Interesting, if you look at an 1898 map, there was once quite a significant lake or pond here, but long gone now. Oh, someone having a late morning nap over there. Actually, from time to time there's a little breeze across here, which is quite welcome. Well, I reckon that's a new personal best for you. Definitely up to chest height. He says, oh, does it tickle? Right, just looking ahead, and I appreciate I'm pointing towards the sun. So towards the right, that bit of woodland there is the Ferny Knap Inclosure, which I think it looks as though it's predominantly pine. And then to the left, that must be the Rhinefield Sandy Enclosure. And basically the stream or river sort of cuts through between the two enclosures. Whew, another little rest stop in some shade. You probably won't be able to see me. It's nice and dark in here. What a sweetie. Yeah, oh, I've got some water somewhere. And a bicky. Actually, what have we got? Schoolboy error. A chocolate bar in this temperature. It's going to be messy. Oh, it's going to be messy. Oh, I've just spotted a heron. I'll use my Canon zoom, so it might be a bit shaky, the footage, and a bit grainy, but hopefully you'll see it. Oh, I wouldn't have thought there'd be many fish in this river, but maybe there are. Well, just looking back to where we've been, so that's in the west, and that little clump of trees there, that's where we had a nice rest in some shade. And then this is panning round to the south, and that's the Ferny Knap Inclosure in the distance there. Well, quite an impressive set of footbridges there. Now, I reckon in the winter it can get pretty boggy around here. Certainly if you want to do this walk, the time to do it is in the summer. Actually, just by the footbridge here, it's quite an idyllic spot. What a place to come for a picnic. Loads of dragonflies here. Well, I've done a tiny little detour to the north, really, just to get up some higher ground to show you some views of the valley, so you get some context. You can see the meandering river down there below, and we'll join it again very shortly, but I just thought it'd be interesting to see it from a different angle. And there certainly are some cracking views from up here. Now, those woods you can see in the very, very far distance, I think that's the Ridley Inclosure. Well, here we are back down by the river. It's definitely got that traditional New Forest sort of brown tinge to it now, that's for sure. Now the river's known as the Ober Water. It's either at this bridge or the next bridge, Puttle's Bridge. Well, another gorgeous little section of the river here with more of those lilies, much bigger leaves along this section. You know, this is one of these little rivers that just keeps on giving. I keep coming across these, well, you can only describe them as sort of idyllic settings. Well, we've made it to Puttle's Bridge, and there you can see the Ober Water going underneath the road, and then over on the other side, well, as you can see, we're starting to get into the touristy area. Well, just making my way along the Ober Water, just past Puttle's Bridge. I couldn't film too much at the bridge because it was absolutely heaving with families. There's a Forestry England car park right there, so it's understandable. Well, even though there's a trailway that passes through this bit of wood, which is heaving with holiday makers, you can find little parts of the Ober Water that are quiet and peaceful. Well, this is our penultimate bridge. It's the bridge at the entrance to the campsite. So we really are on the final section now, heading towards Boulderford Bridge. And this, folks, is our final destination. This is where the Ober Water joins up with the Highland Water, which comes down from the north. And from this moment on, it becomes known as the Lymington River. And it continues flowing south to Lymington, where it eventually joins up with the Solent. Well folks, here we are at the end of the walk, just by Boulderford Bridge, getting nice and cool in the water. We hope you enjoyed our walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. We've had a super walk today. We've got another mile or so to go back to Brockenhurst, and I expect we'll pay a visit to the Snake Catcher pub for some light refreshment. You've been a good boy today. You're going to turn round. Good boy. Good boy. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Good boy. Well, we've made it back to Brockenhurst, and there's an ice cream van. They didn't do dog ice cream, but the chap said, oh, I'll do you a small one for £5. And that seems to be going down rather well.